I only have one rule. Everyone fights, no one quits.
Welcome to WTC Squadcast, a podcast focusing on international matters, tournaments, communities, and the World Team Championship. The WTC is a proud partner of the T-Sports Network, Best Coast Pairings, and is sponsored by The Army Painter. If you'd like to support the podcast and the WTC, please visit our Patreon at www.patreon.com/WTC Squadcast. Now, let's get on with the show.
Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the WTC Squadcast in the podcast where we get deeper insight into the teams, how they work, how they formed, and how their community just happens to be. I'm Işık and today we have Gabriel, the Spanish captain, who has been a veteran for the Spanish team for many years, and thank you Gabriel for joining me today.
Hi, thank you for having me here.
So, can you introduce yourself for us? Like, how did you, essentially your history of 40k, and how did you come to join the WTC squad and became its captain?
Yeah, sure. I started playing Warhammer Fantasy first when I was like 14 years old. That's like 2004, 2006, more or less. Then when Warhammer Fantasy started to go to another places like 8th edition or so, a lot of people changes to 40k, and that's how I introduced myself into 40k. And then we had a forum, and Pachu, who was the captain that time, asked if anyone wanted to go to the Winter Team Championship. I think that was like 2015 or so. And that was my first international experience. And that was the first time I played with other people from other countries and so. And then I became more interested in the ETC and trying to be part of the team and so. And then I spent like 2 or 3 years trying to be a player, but I have never been selected. But then Saulion became captain, and as I told you, I tried to be a player, but then when Saulion wanted to stop being captain, he asked me if I could do that, because I was managing the website, the Facebook page, and so for the team, and I was always looking for the rules, for the facts, FAQ, and so, and that's how I became a captain. I've never been into ETC or WTC before. I've been into some winter team and into the Med Cup, and I'm looking forward to be in my first WTC ever.
Yeah, look, but you had for example, you said your first event was 2015 Winter Team Championship, which was mine as well. So we were there together. So that was nice. I think I got crushed by your team, which wasn't that fun. So you had been into it, you attended some of the international tournament, but didn't get to attend the ETC, or obviously we haven't had the WTC yet. So can you tell me what was your first experiences of the international team tournaments in 40k? Like, what were you expecting and what did you find out?
Well, I did not know anybody else for that moment. I'm living in Galicia, which is like the northwest, a northwest place in Spain, and it is not very well connected with the rest of Spain. So for that time, I didn't know a lot of people. So that was my first time. I traveled to Madrid to meet some pals there, and then I traveled to Zagreb for the Winter Team Championship, and I really had a very good time. It was my first big team event. I didn't know what to expect because as I said, I didn't have that experience before, and it was a very positive. playing with a team, it was very good, and the community there, it was very friendly, and although it was competitive, but very friendly, and zero problems at that event, and it was very good for me. That's that event was the reason I kept trying to go to the team and so on.
Okay, I fully agree with you. It's like uh, it is an entirely different thing to any local event, even if it is big. It's like it becomes more than the number of players, because there are events in Spain as well that are bigger than the WTC when it comes to player numbers, but the the international nature and you see that everybody has traveled many hundreds of kilometers just to be there. It changes the dynamics greatly, which actually I want to ask, can you tell us about the Spanish community? I know it's very big. I know it's huge compared to most countries, but nobody outside of Spain has any idea how big it is.
It is quite big indeed. As you all know, there was the Talavera event in last November, and it held like 688 players or so, adding that the organizers and so it was enormous. And what's more, there is like every month or so there is a new tournament announced, and in 2 minutes the sign-ups are already closed because it's full of people. For example, in Talavera, in 2 minutes they have no space left for anybody else because the sign-ups they are done super quick. So there are a lot of people playing, like enormous amount of people, and almost in every little community here in Spain. And it is a good community overall, and it's not that flamer or toxic or so. Maybe if you read something about that, it is like in usual cases, and the community is quite healthy and quite big, and it is very good for the game, very good for the environment and the team, and so.
I Yeah, that's so far there hasn't been an issue as far as I know with the Spanish team in any of the events I was in. So I fully can support your statement about the community being great. Although once we are talking about like 600, 700 players, eventually you'll meet some let's say some idiots to put it even like a,
There are idiots in all the places, so yes, if the bigger event, the bigger the chances you get as some stupid person. But as I would say, it is very, very rare. We had two major things in the time I've been captain. So the first one was when one player of us cheated in the tabletop simulator, one of the events, and he was kicked from the team. Of course, nobody knew that before it was cocked. And then we have the Nazi incident in Talavera. But as I say, I have never seen anybody with that kind of things or so in my years I have been playing or being captain. I have never experienced that, and unfortunately, the event was like corrupted with that presence, and it is a shame because the event it was really great. I think that matter was not, maybe it was not managed properly, but I can understand that for the organizers it's a tough thing to deal with and unexpected, and I can support them. But
yeah.
of course, that kind of things cannot repeat it again.
It's you reach, especially when you consider the international nature of certain events. It becomes really challenging to try to balance, let's say, manners and some decorum with the realities of international politics. Obviously what that guy wore is simply is he's an idiot, and what he if is not a
It's
troll.
totally
If it,
unacceptable. Of
yeah,
course, it is unacceptable.
but it's like then I can understand how if you don't think about how to handle such a situation, the organizers, you have to, in this current day and age, you have to think about how you will handle it. But I can also see how they didn't think of it, because it's not really a situation that comes up. And even with us, even with the WTC, we have some issues that came up, which sort of like, it is an international tournament. Some countries' heroes are other countries' villains, and it's like, oh, I support this political ideology, which is, let's say, the majority party in a certain country, and it becomes a hated group in another. And so, if you are into, especially with the age of social media, you have to think about how you will handle these things. At least have a certain plan. Obviously, you cannot have a strict dress code. That would be weird, and like, you cannot check everybody's t-shirts or uniforms at the door. But you also cannot just have people wear anything, or in certain cases nothing. Like, I mean, this is supposed to be a family-friendly event to a certain regard as well. So, but so I can understand the challenges that the tournament organizers were in. It's like, it comes with it's not a difficult question on what to do with that specific individual. It becomes more of a question of, okay, I, like, for example, I personally have believed certain ideologies are simply unacceptable, which but somebody might think they are. So am I supposed to just kick that person out because of my personal beliefs, if the general population thinks it is at least tolerable? And that is a challenge for many tournament organizers, which they need to think about, because think it's just as there's no simple solution to it.
Yeah, that's it. I think that's it. There is not a simple solution, and in any case, I think politics and that kind of things should be off from 40k. It's just we played a game and that's it.
And the 40k is for everyone without any caveats. Just keep it to the plastic miniatures, all right? Just, and if when you do that, we can actually enjoy what we do on the table. So, but I wanted this small segue aside. Can you tell me more about the numbers of the Spanish community? You obviously had the biggest, giant, not the biggest, but the giant 688 player tournament in Talavera 2 months ago. But in Spain in total, how many active players are we talking about when it comes to numbers?
It's a difficult question because I can't tell a certain amount, but
Approximate answer is fine.
well, for example, I have in the WhatsApp group more than 100 people that are interested in the WTC, in trying to be into the WTC team, or are interested in the rules and the pack and the map pack and so on. The everything surround the WTC. So that's like, as I've said, like more than 100 people. But it is just a WhatsApp group. Every month there is a tournament that has more than 100 players. So I will say like 1,200 or so, and I don't think it is unreal.
Well, this is considerable amount of active players.
And that's the people that plays tournaments, or even though maybe small tournaments, not the great tournaments, but I there are a lot of people.
Okay, that is good to hear, because it's always it is like, it brings me joy to hear about communities and saying like, oh, we have an active community and it's getting bigger. It actually brings me joy. But how do you plan to select your team out of that many people? You said 100+ people are interested in joining the WTC team. What is your plan to reduce that number to 8?
For me, it's a matter of my own work. I don't believe that for a team event, I don't believe that an individual tournament is the best option to choose to select the team. Uh, because it's not the same playing individually than playing on a team. The pairings are important. Although I neither think that a team tournament is the way I should have the team selected. I mean, if organize a team event like it was Talavera, and I say the first place it is the Team Spain. I don't think that's the best way to go, because in every team there are some players that are not as good as the others, and I want the best team possible competitively and with the best players in every team. Maybe they don't play in the same team, and I want the best. So for me, the best way to create the team is working with the community, seeing how people win the tournaments, who are the usual winners, and organizing individual leagues and team events. I don't organize that much because my work doesn't allow me to do it, but I organize TTS leagues monthly, almost monthly, and in the team events, they are like 6, 8 big events a year in Spain. So I can see who is the who, who is the best players in every team, and I can talk with them individually and form the team Spain from that.
Okay, no, so there will not be a singular tournament or team tournament unlike certain other countries. Uh, do you have do you have any idea of what you want to do with the team? Like, can you describe your ideal team and how it would work?
Right now, I have like from 3 to 5 people almost selected. I just want to wait till the team more codexes are out to see who can get the new armies and who can play them better. So for a team, I need people that works well in team, that are not that uh, that are not that worried about their individual results. They don't mind to lose if they have to. That's what I want for the individual players, and of course that they have the mechanics and they know the rules, and so finally I would want to be in the top spots of the WTC. I think we have a very good players. I think they are working quite hard. We are having practice games against other countries. They played in some international events from TDS, and I hope they can be in some live events like the Alpine Cup and so. Although we have like a lot of tournaments here, but I expect that at least 1 or 2 international events they can manage to go. So that's it, I think.
Okay, so but you mentioned that Spain had Spain's history, which I have my records in front of me. Uh, Spain had done well in the past. You have a third place in 2010 and a second place in 2013, but in the last 4 years, you are stuck at about the top, like 10th to 11th to 8th. Do you think that Spain has what it takes to make a play for the top three, for the top steps?
I do think they can manage to win the WTC.
Ah, that is like so you are like confident in your team then.
I have confidence in the players I'm practicing with. I don't see myself as a real player. I will only go as a coach because I'm not as good as them. But I think they're working hard. They are playing. They are practicing with good opponents, and I think they can do really well in the WTC.
Well, okay, that's good to hear. It's always it feels like a lot of the teams have spent the 2 years we didn't have an event because of the pandemic to in order to strengthen their team structure, and everybody seems confident, not because like this, I don't feel this is an empty confidence. I feel they actually have practiced and actually have trust themselves, which makes me excited because I believe lots of teams will come to and put their best. So even if, let's say, obviously only 3 teams can be top 3, but the rest will still put on a good show and we will see lots of great games. uh, Spain and I have seen Spanish players play. They have attended a few of my events as well. They are very good players. So it's not. I know you guys can do it. It's just now I'm curious. Now I'm like, okay, so let's see how it works. Uh, can you tell me about your preparations a bit? If you don't like, obviously, if you want to have some secrets, that's fine. But how are you practicing for the WTC as a team? Obviously, you said you'll be a coach, so you're not going to play.
No, I'm just a watcher who watches the Watchmen. I have no secrets. I just gather the people that is doing well in individual and team events that they always go into the top 3. So I ask them if they are interested in being part of the team sometime, and the top players are united in a WhatsApp group, and they are rotating mm, according to their representation in the games we play. We play internationally, as I've said, some scrims
Mm-hmm.
against Poland, against Finland, against France, and if someone does not play that well, another player comes in and we try with that guy. But I never kicked out people from that group. Everybody can say whatever they want, can provide some useful information, some other thoughts about a list, about a way to play. So um, the group is getting bigger and bigger now. They are like 16 or 17 people in that. That will be reduced to 8, of course. But we have almost any faction with representation, and maybe even 2 players for faction or so. So that's the way I think it will be. That's the way I work with them. Uh, Playing with another teams, even they play against themselves. If they were 16 players, the 2 teams of 8 person, so they scream against each other and see how they manage. The last game they played, it was a draw, so that's quite good.
Yeah, so if it's like that means that all 16 players, if they are all good and they get a draw, which means there's a balance between them, which is good to hear. Uh, so you say you practice a lot with international. I have seen in some of the smaller countries in my talks and personally as well that they orient their tournament schedule community around the WTC. Is that similar in Spain? Like, is the how big is WTC's impact in your community?
I think it is not that big because many
Mm-hmm.
organizers don't want to get into the WTC rules pack because there are a lot of FAQs. The terrain is not that easy to achieve in small events or even big events. It's not that easy to get that kind of terrain. So I can understand that an organizer doesn't want to fulfill that requirements. But for me, even though if I wasn't captain, I think it is the best way to promote a tournament because it is a rules pack that it got everything, FAQs, terrain, how it is disposed. So for me, it is the best option when I organize something to just say it is a WTC event. So everything is already done. But I think that not a lot of people are into it here in Spain. Like there are maybe one or two big tournaments that use that rules pack, not that much.
I know Patch is going to have an event in February with at least the WTC terrain, uh, which will be in late February if I remember correctly.
Yeah, in Valencia, the one that organizes Pachi, the one of the last captains from the Team Spain.
Okay, so it's not a big impact, but you still said that you have 100 plus players who shown interest in being in the team. So it is still considerable than the WTC's impact in your community.
Yeah, yeah. Even though the organizers don't embrace the WTC, there are a lot of people that are interested in and they support the team. Maybe when we go into the WTC properly, there will be like a ton of reactions in the Facebook and so people is aware of the WTC and they are supporting the players and the community, but not that much it becomes in a tournament.
Okay, that's good to hear. But which I have a question. But it slipped from my head. So, okay, how interested is this? Okay, so now I remember. How interested is the Spanish community outside of the tournaments, from like outside of tournaments from Spain, like in non-Spanish tournaments? Do I know you obviously attend some because we have met in Winter Team Championships several times and the Med Cups, but are there a big interest in Spain in the players to go outside of the country to attend tournaments, or are they more inclined to stay in Spain?
The problem is that now it is not that easy to travel for
Of
us,
course.
even though a lot of people it's already vaccinated and that's it. But it is a pain in the ass to travel, and and there are a lot of tournaments here, so it is easier for us just to stick into Spain. Um, but some people it is interested in playing at international level in international events, but it's not that much as it was in the past, I think. But I think it is for a number of reasons. First of all, the pandemic. Second, there is like a much more number of tournaments here that there was in that time here in Spain,
Hmm.
and a lot of people is becoming father, and so on. So it is a lot of money to travel. For example, maybe to France or so, spending 300, 400 euro. It is a lot for a lot of people.
One thing that I'm curious about, because this this from the outside it looks like, because every rules pack, every rules document that Games Workshop produced is produced in Spanish as well. That and there is, let's say, not not let's say rumor, but infamy of from outside that Spanish players don't really know the rules in English, and so it always caused, and some it's like I have seen some players approach when their opponent is a Spanish guy, and it's like, oh, will he speak English, or like how? Obviously, I know that is not exactly true in all cases, but is be all the codexes and the rule books being released in Spanish has an impact on uh, like interest to outside. Like, are there many players like they are not interested in any tournaments in England or America or France or something, because like they only know 40K as a Spanish thing, and it's like, you know what, this is enough. I don't need to learn. I don't need to read English, anything English. I don't need to look outside. I'm happy with the Spanish 40K. Or is like, is it an important factor, or is it simply a passing thing?
I don't think it's really now. It is not representative of the community right now. There are a lot of people that don't speak that much of English, but in the team and the WhatsApp group, like almost everybody can deal with a conversation in English and with rules pack in English. Actually, when we share any rule, any FAQ or something, we share it in English for all the community. because that's the way it should play in competitive game, I think. And for me personally, the guys who are in the team, they all have played internationally. And they don't have any problem with English, and neither do the most of people in the WhatsApp group.
No, okay, so okay, that's good to hear. That's like okay. I didn't really know what to think, but thanks for clearing that up. But I also want to know about um, Spain is not a small country. It's like geographically, it's actually considerable in size. Does in some countries simply the distance of cities being further away hamper their ability to have events, big events? Is that does that have an impact in Spain? Like does uh, do you need to be if you are let's say in Valencia, we mentioned Pachi, but let's say if you're in Barcelona, is that does that have an impact for a player in Barcelona to attend a tournament elsewhere or not?
It is a bit impactful. In my case, I live near Santiago de Compostela, which is, as I've said, in the northwest of Spain, and we don't have very good communications. Now we have the a new train which connects with Madrid in like 3 hours or so. But before that, it was like more than 5 hours to Madrid. And if we wanted to go into the south of Spain to Andalusia or so, it was like 10 or 12 hours, and it is quite a big journey. Now it is not that a problem because there are tournaments in every part of Spain, but in the past it was a problem. I think now it is not that important.
Oh, so that's good to hear because it sometimes it's unfortunate when you see enthusiasm in certain countries only being hampered because of like restrict geography, but it's good to hear that things are improving in Spain. So, can you describe a bit? As you said, you lived in the north, but I know some of the turn players in the south attended the Gibraltar tournaments of. I can't remember the name of
The players from deep games, I think Bizarre, Antonio, maybe.
possibly them, yeah. Like
Oh, and I think Luis Balmori, the Roxer, and Edu Muñoz. I think they have attended Gibraltar as well.
I guess, and you obviously since you're north, you attended Med Cup in the past as well. Is because is it you uh, in that tournament, like in those aspects, do you consider the travel distance as a matter of importance that much, or are you ready to just take the plane and go further away if you like? How, for you personally, this question is just for you. How do you, how much do you consider the distance to attend tournaments? Like, is that a big impact, or are you more of a, you know what, let's go. I don't care how further it is, let's just go. Or do you more try to attend tournaments that are more local?
I think it's not a problem, a matter of distance. It's a matter of connections. If I can be in that place, like taking a train and then a plane, and I'm in the place, it's okay. I don't mind if it's France, it is Poland, it's Russia. It's the same for me. The problem for me personally is I never know when I work because I'm a nurse and my contracts are monthly renewed. So I don't know how I will work in the next month. So for me, it's a bit tough to organize that kind of things. But if I have the days free, I will look into it. No matter of distance. Of course, the money goes first, but if the
Yeah, of
money
course.
and days allow it, it's not a matter of distance at all.
Okay, so this as an I already had an idea in about the Spanish community, but this conversation is like, okay, now able to fill the blanks much better. I so can you tell us about your local community, like in northern Spain, uh, in your own city and your club a bit?
Yeah, my city is quite small, so there are not that much of people. But I know like maybe 20 players that play here in this town. We are starting to organize small tournaments like 10, 12 people because we don't have a personal space. We don't have a shop to organize it. We have a shop, but it only fits like 3 tables or so. So that doesn't work for a tournament.
Oh.
So we are looking into some other options like some public ones. So we are a bit limited in that matter. If we go a bit outside here near my home, like 1 hour from it, there is Santiago de Compostela, which Frankie, maybe you, of course, you will know him because he is the one who creates the WTC tables in the tabletop simulator. He and Bruno organize the almost every month or like each 2 months or so event which is a bit bigger like 20 40 people or so. They will be organizing one at the in early February, which is I think 36 people in a team event, and we are trying to improve that amount here in say in my hometown. I started with a small tournament, and I hope we can do it in next month again.
So you have options in if you want to, if you had a 40k each, you have some options to scratch that. That's good to hear. So before we wrap up, I would like to ask you. This is more of a, let's say, a market research from my end, and like to improve the WTC. Can you describe your ideal WTC for me?
For me, it should be in a easy location to travel. I mean, I don't know, but a location that is easy for everybody to get, and maybe provide some quality food. I don't I don't know, uh, some options for food in the event, and beverage, and maybe should be close to the rooms, to the outer rooms or so where the players should rest. And for me, the most important thing should be the environment, the community should be friendly, although high competitive level, but friendly.
Yeah, competitive but friendly is the most important thing, and I have a few words to say it as well. In the past, we had tried to not meddle in the teams and how they pick their players, but now we are, as the TOs of the WTC, we are taking a more active step before things happen, not like outright ban people unless they do something egregious, which has happened, and that you mentioned your player as well. But we are trying to be more active on the events that is outside of the WTC, especially when it comes to player conduct. It's because people spend a lot of money and, more importantly, a lot of time in order to prepare for the WTC, and there is only a limited amount of games you play. Like, even if you attend the singles, we are talking about like a dozen games at most, and that or none of those games should be a torture because the other player is being a dick, to put it in simple terms. It's like we don't want anybody to feel cheated, both because of game cheating or because there is some gamesmanship and bad play. But also, we noticed that when players get to know each other a bit more, you get much more like a better understanding community of each other. Like some of the past frictions happened because the communities didn't know and they were a bit untrusting with each other. But once our referees know the players, the referees know the players know the referees, and the TOs and vice versa, we get a better community, and it becomes more than just a tournament. It becomes a annual gathering between friends and people who share the hobby, because we are all there not just to not just to push plastic soldiers against random people. We are there to be a community and to enjoy a good weekend with our friends, which matters a lot, right?
Yeah, I fully agree with that. As you said, you put it a lot of effort organizing. We put a lot of money, a lot of time, and so going to the tournament. And the thing you expect is to meet people, have a really good time competing, but outside of the table and even on the table, you have to be smiling, not suffering because someone is cheating, someone is torturing you with some bad behavior. I think that should not be accepted in this competition.
Yeah, exactly, and it's we have taken, as the TOs, we have taken the responsibility, and maybe I hope not. I hope within our bounds, and the community trusts us with it, to be more proactive and just try to keep the bad actors out as much as we can, but still, let's say, keep it civilized and not vindictive, because such actions can quickly become very, very vindictive, and like personal feelings might get involved. And we try to keep it as objective and simple as possible, and also uh, provide corrections to bad behavior. So because if somebody, let's say, is not welcome to the WTC, but they also have no way to correct their behavior, it means that they have no reason to correct that behavior. Like if let's say somebody like pushes the model 15 inches out, if I'm not 12, and they get caught and they get red carded and they get removed from the event, if there is no way for that person to say, you know what, I got the spirit of competition in me too much, it got heated and I cheated, and I'm sorry and I will not do it again. If we don't allow that person to uh, a way back, they have no reason to. They'll just try to move into another tournament circuit or tournament and try to cheat there, because they have no reason to fix themselves. And that's a really narrow line, and we might not get it perfect. We will try to, but we will see. We'll, because obviously I cannot speak for long term or for the whole TO community, but because and since we didn't have a WTC yet, we are working on it very hard, and more details are coming every day. So yeah, but hopefully it will be a good event this August in Belgium, and everybody will enjoy themselves greatly.
I'm really looking forward to it, and I really want to go.
Yeah, it's
Really, really.
same. It has been a very long time. So before we wrap things up, can you tell us the how our listeners can find the Spanish community? Is there a Facebook group or uh, like a server or something?
Yeah, I tried to put a web page up, but I ended for not doing it because I don't have that much info to share. I don't make videos or something like that. So for me, it was a waste of time and money. And I just kept with Facebook and mostly with the WhatsApp groups. It is the way we communicate with the community. For now, the Team Spain Facebook it's open, and if anybody wants to contact me, I will answer instantly almost. But I have it like a bit forgotten these last months because we were waiting for the chapter approved to come out and finishing the leagues and so, and I did not publish that much. I hope to get it rolling right now.
Well,
And
here is some incentive for you to. So it's my incentive for you to put out more content as well. Then, and the Facebook page will be linked in the description if anybody is listening wants to click and learn more about the Spanish community.
and if anybody wants to contact or ask anything, feel free. I will answer.
Okay, so do you have any shout outs before we end this episode? Like to call somebody out?
I don't think so. I want to meet all the captains and all the players from all the countries I didn't met before. I'm looking forward to meet Poland in the WTC because we have having some conversations to play in scrims and so, and I think it will be very good to fight in the in the event itself.
The Polish community has it's a very good community and they are highly competitive and they orient their entire community around WTC, which is fascinating to hear firsthand from when I talk with Piotr, the captain, at least the interim captain, we'll see. So it's like, oh, there's like a 30-40 people community that arrange their entire annual schedule around WTC, and that shows dedication and it shows off. Well, in total, thanks for coming on this podcast. I learned quite a bit about the Spanish community, and I hope you enjoyed this one as well.
It was very fun for me. I hope you get all the information you need. And as I've said, if anyone wants to contact me for asking anything, feel free. And I hope to see you all in the event.
And same from me as well. See you in Michelin in August and in many other tournaments around the globe.